There's that scene in The Office where they go to the wedding and Kevin left his shoes out in the hallway to be polished. but the staff found that the smell was so offensive that it had become a health hazard. So they were incinerated.
So they had to be destroyed.
And he's like, that's my only pair of shoes that I have. And then at the wedding, he walks out and he's got his feet in tissue boxes. He's wearing like Kleenex boxes for shoes.
I empathize. I get it. He had some.
Can't wear shoes
feet.
without socks. I learned that a long time ago. I had a pair of loafers that I would just slip on and like go to the mailbox, and I was like, "These smell like death. These smell like death."
25-year-olds watching who listen to you talk about The Office the way you listen to people talk about Friends.
Well, those people have bad taste. Like Friends is not a good show.
Like, you know, the Office is pretty much before their time. They were kids when they
no. Mm-hmm. First of all, both of those shows have seen a Zoomer interest and huge resurgence of their popularity because Zoomers are into both of those shows big time. But The Office more than any other. The Office is incredibly popular. Its popularity has to entirely surpass that of Friends, even though that one drug addict that was on there got stewed to death like fucking roast beef.
R.I.P.
Yeah.
Friends, I used Friends as like a background show while I was working out, probably 2018 or so. And by the time I was a little bit in, I almost finished most of the series like indignantly, where I was like, wow, my thought about this show, based on what people had told me, mostly girls should have known then, that like, they're like, oh, this is like a Seinfeld, but just like, you know, kind of different in how funny it is, but it's just as funny as Seinfeld. Not even close. The best episode of Friends couldn't touch the absolute worst episode of Seinfeld. Not even close. They're not even.
It's genuine trash.
None of it was fun. None of it was funny. None of it was funny. The dude had a monkey for like 2 episodes, and they decided, "Hey guys, we're having too much
for a season.
We're having too much fun here with the monkey, so we're gonna pull him out." And then the only good part was Jennifer Aniston's hard nips. That was the only thing I liked.
I think you're overlooking Monica.
Monica's nips were great also, but other than that, it'd be like, oh, now we get a cutscene with fucking Joey in his like masturbation captain seat where they both sit there together.
I always hated it. I never laughed at it. When it's one of those shows where you pull the laugh track and it's exposed as a fraud of a show.
Yeah,
it's like, this is bullshit. This is like in today's world where we have so many options, it wouldn't even be a top 20 fucking show.
Oh,
you would have got alive in the ratings like the first season or two, because there's nothing there. There's nothing there but pretty whores with ridiculous like amounts of money based on their careers. Like I don't know how a paleontologist has all that money, but the waitress has as much money as they're all incredibly rich inexplicably, and they're dirty whores. They're all dirty whores.
They're all disgusting whores.
You know the explanation for why they're so wealthy? It's because if you're going to shoot something, you can't do it in a small apartment.
Yeah,
that's why their place was so large. They needed room for cameras and such. And so I'm not trying to say it was a good show, but that show in its prime did for me what I sometimes like music to do. It's just a little uplifting, right? It's not serious. It's not a great work of art. I don't think it's going to live on in time memoriam, but when that theme song came on about the friends and then they had their little jokes and the laugh track hit.
What Fresh Prince of Bel-Air is.
Maybe I smiled more than I would have if some other show was on.
Have you ever seen the episode of Fresh Prince of Bel-Air where Will's dad shows up and he's like all lovey-dovey with Will, but then he abandons him again at the end, even though they had the trip planned, and they had this big scene with Uncle Phil yelling at the dad, and then Will shows up and him and Phil hug it out and he's crying. Like that's a good show.
Yes,
that's a good fucking show. Prince of Bel-Air the whole way through was a great show. Great. There's
another scene I really liked where Carlton. Is it called Carlton? Thank you. It was called A Sellout, and he kind of talks about like his own value system, and it's like, yeah, all right, yeah, you be you. I like it.
Yeah, Carlton ruled. I always liked Carlton.
He had his own dance.
Yeah, he was fun.
It's in Fortnite, I think.
And I liked the butler. He was great.
Giles?
Mm-hmm.
Giles.
I think Giles was his name. I think you're right. Yeah.
Yeah. Aunt Viv, who got replaced, the actress did.
They could have replaced her. They could have replaced her 15 times, and I wouldn't have given a shit.
It's all about Uncle Phil.
Didn't matter. Yeah, it was about Uncle Phil.
Maybe if she was better, we wouldn't feel that way about her. Because I agree with what you said, right? Did Uncle Phil originally have such a banger part, or did he just hit it out of the park again and again until they wrote more for him?
He's great.
That's probably right. Great. Yeah. It is interesting when shows take that route where it's like clearly someone was intended to be like on the outskirts, and then it's like, no, this guy just kills it. We got to write a Phil-centric episode. Everybody likes help. Phil.
Parks and Rec, the name of the Guardian of the Galaxy actor.
Chris Pratt.
Chris Pratt, yeah. So Chris Pratt originally had a very small role. He was only supposed to be in that for a couple episodes. Kept hitting it out of the park, and eventually he became one of the main cast.
Yeah.
Well, you're forgetting the main thing. I'm having to look the guy's name up. Steve Brandana, that's what it was. Brandanovich in season 1. All right, so Parks and Rec
sucked, and he wasn't funny.
That's the problem. So Parks and Rec is like written and produced by the same team as The Office. They wanted a carbon copy of The Office, and so that's what Parks and Rec was supposed to be. Obviously, you see some carryover. The guy who plays Cousin Mose in The Office, he's the writer, director, creative behind Parks and Rec. He comes over with Amy Poehler and does a new thing. They bring the one actress came over. I can't think of her name. She's the main actress in Parks and Rec. But they had this Steve Brandanovich character or something, and he's the Jim of Parks and Rec in season 1. He's the quasi love interest for the Leslie Knope character. He's flirty, he's handsome, he's like available, but he's a little bit of a man whore, and it came off bad. He came off as sleazy and disinterested, and Leslie kind of comes off as a mean character in season 1. They had to fine tune that as well, but they just straight up like kicked him off the show and replaced him with Andy in season 2, and then going on, Andy became a main player because, like you said, he was a couch surfing shitty boyfriend, and he was supposed to do that, and then that was going to be it.
To their credit, I appreciate the pivots. You know, that they kind of reevaluated their talent after their little filming and said, this guy wins, this guy loses, and I think they made the right call.
Office mutates over time. Obviously, you had Michael Scott being a scumbag in season 1. Also, his hair is wild, and then Kevin in season 1. Kevin's like a normal guy. I mean,
almost, right?
He's got like, he's a musician and he's a gambler and he's into the Eagles and he's an accountant. And by the end, it's like, I am retarded.
Yeah, he's like an actual retard by the end, which was funny. That scene where he, I know we're just talking about fucking TV show moments now, but like seeing when it aired, because The Office was a show that my family and I would watch as it was coming out most weeks when I was young, and that scene where he like comes in with the chili and just has the most aggressive spill of any food I've ever seen. Like I was dying in my living room with my family, laughing at how fucking funny him trying to scoop it up with like a clipboard and shit was. That was so fucking fun. Like when you physical comedy, like you can really appreciate it in the moment because it's like this guy had one shot at it's like the Kramer stuff. Like some of the stuff Kramer pulls off is like that's so like I'm sure the most obvious example
marks on the door and stuff where like they've done that thing like so many times that he's kicked that door 50, 100 fucking times and it's just covered with black rubber scuff marks.
It's so good. Kramer, I think, is the goat of the physical humor as far as like modern era stuff. Like there's all of it is so fucking good, so funny. But even you watch season 1 of Seinfeld, Kramer is not a complete lunatic yet.
It's played down.
Like he's more muted. He like he's polite to Jerry.
So you're talking about when a character originally is one thing and he sort of takes the show over. Family Matters with Steve Urkel. Like Family So I love those black sitcoms. I watched more of those growing up than anything. Dude. And Family Matters, for those who don't know, is a black sitcom from the early 90s that had the nerdy neighbor character named Steve Urkel. The main cast was a black cop and his big black family. And the kids go to school and they got the grandma living there and there's the romance and the support in the family because money's tight. And then Steve Urkel's this nerd who's into Laura, who's the main, who's the cop's daughter. By the end of that show, it was the Urkel hour. Urkel would do time travel. Urkel made a machine that would turn him into an alter ego. His name was Steven Urkel, but his alter ego's name was Stefan.
Yeah, I didn't like Stefan.
Stefan would slide in like, "Hey, Laura, how's it?" And Laura's super into Stefan, which I thought was super bullshit. It's like, it's Steven Urkel, like like this. But he took over that show. He became
Kent
the
had a
star
better
of that show.
disguise.
Oh, it wasn't even a disguise. She was just like Urkel had to deal with the fact that Laura just was only into him when he went through his wacky sci-fi machine that he had in the early seasons. It's 100% grounded in reality. It's a cop and his family living in Chicago. By the end, it's sci-fi. Like we've got Doctor Who living next door.
I hated the Stefan bits in Family Matters. Did not like Stefan at all. I agree.
I was a kid, so I liked all that shit. It was like, yeah, turn him cool.
I was a kid. I was a younger kid. I didn't like it.
True.
Yeah,
fair. Yeah.
That's fair. That checks out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
for Will Smith, what a fall.